So I'll start off with the sharings. So, hey guys, I'm Michael, and today I'll be talking about three things. Firstly, the interview questions I was asked at the interview. Secondly, how to perform well at the interviews. And thirdly, why I think I want the scholarship. So let's begin with part one, the questions I was asked. So question one, self-introduction. So 1 minute, and at the time, the trainer HKBU provided us with, Natalie Levy, advised us to prepare three versions, namely in the languages I guess most of us would be able to speak, Cantonese, English, and Mandarin. Now, in the actual first and final round interviews, actually I was required by the panel to use both times in English to do my self-intro. But hey, anyways, you better get prepared. Second question is career aspirations. Now, this might be asked as a separate question or included as a part of your self-intro. For my case, in my first and final round interviews, I was respectively asked this question, required to include this as a part of my self-intro, and asked it as a separate question. If it's the latter, it's fine, and if you've already talked about your self-intro, go on and do some elaboration on it. Question three, why does the GPA attract you? What attracts you to go to the GPA? And question four, if I remember correctly, is your unique traits. What's so special? What's uniquely special about you? What are some valuable traits of yours? Now that you know the questions, you probably want to get to know how to answer them, how to perform them, and that's our second step. So to start off with, the first tip I'm going to give you is to give concise and precise answers. In the 3 to maximum 4 minutes you're given in the interview to speak, make sure that each and every word you choose is not redundant. Meaning, if you think something can be skipped, skip it. You won't regret it because you won't have enough time to talk about the most important achievements you have. Tip number 2 is to have quick reactions. Learn to take the initiative. This is something I tell my students nowadays as a teacher, and also something my tutor has told a lot of us probably when we were taking the public exams, something called the DSE, if you guys still recall that, to take the initiative. The worst thing you can do is to let there be awkward silences, is what I meant to say. Think about it from the panel's perspective. If they ask a question, nobody's answering it, they're probably thinking, these guys, they're like, oh, you can go first, so do you guys really want a scholarship? They don't seem like it, and I'm not going to give it to them. Simple as that. And tip number 3 is to learn to market yourself. Remember to pitch about your uniqueness. You think these interviewers really want to know about you? Why wouldn't they, as somebody working probably at HSBC, why wouldn't they rather have a coffee or go back home and take a break rather than listen to a bunch of us teenagers about us wanting to get a bunch of money they can't even spend themselves, right? So make sure every time you get the chance to speak, you not only answer questions for the sake of answering them, you use each and every time the turn you get to speak to talk about why you deserve this scholarship. Now, final part, and probably the part we're most excited about, is why I think I want a scholarship. And that's probably because I did at least some of the things I told you, I advised you just now, pretty well, or at least well enough to win me a scholarship. And I tell the interviewers that I'm courageous, I'm persistent, I'm grateful, and that helps me to be a change maker in mainland China-Hong Kong relationships. You say, Michael, I'm persistent, I'm courageous, I'm grateful as well. But I think what sets me apart from you and perhaps from other candidates is the way my examples back up my points greatly. I'm able to tell them my unique experiences, how these experiences that are unique to me illustrate why I'm this sort of person. Now, I'm courageous. How so? Well, back in my freshman year, I signed up for the China Daily 21st Century Cup national English speaking competition. Even despite at the time, my professor told me that only year 2 students or above can join this. And then I went on to become the first Hong Kong champion and representative at the nationals. And then what else? I went to, in my 3rd year, I went to Fudan University for exchange. Despite, one, during the Shanghai lockdown and the pandemic in 2022, and 2, against probably 90% of my peers because of probably anti-mainland China sentiments in 2019, and more so importantly, that they've been thinking, why would an English major go to mainland China for exchange? Now, I trusted my instincts with the mainland Chinese peers I got to know here at BU, the ones I've seen online in studying in prestigious colleges in mainland China, and also because of one person, and that person actually being the national champion of the 21st Century Cup, and who went on to become international public speaking competition champion. She is also a Fudan University medical student, Caroline Yang Kanti, who is now my idol. And so it's with these things that prove to me that I am a courageous person. And I say I'm persistent. How so? Well, I'm a content creator. I started making content on Bilibili and YouTube since I entered BU. And I make videos, vlogs, and interviews featuring my professors at BU, Fudan, and my alma mater secondary school, College Kowloon. And I try to pitch to my audience the message that you need to put yourselves out there. And also the message that the importance to acquire the lingua franca, that is English, in order to bridge those knowledge differences, those gaps in knowledge between nationals from different countries. And it's regardless of the performance of my videos throughout these 3 years, and even now I'm in the workplace, I'm still continuing to make them, showing how persistent I am. And at Fudan, when I went there, having quarantined for 24 days upon arriving in Shanghai, thinking I'd escaped from hell in Hong Kong, because back then it was one of the worst waves of COVID in Hong Kong. And then who would have thought something worse would happen in Shanghai, right? So I had 2 weeks of face-to-face classes before I was locked up in a dormitory for nearly 2 months. Now, most of my peers from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan who are going on exchange at the time thought, I must be the most unluckiest person alive. I'm going to give up, I'm just going to chill in my room and done. Now, I could very much do the same thing, or I could do what I did, which was to actively reach out to every possible person, actively getting to try to know my peers via WeChat, via the online lessons, and that shows despite, amidst obstacles, amidst adversity, I'm persistent. And last but not least, grateful. Actually I have a self-proclaimed title. I like to call myself the HKBU Mainland Chinese Friendship Ambassador, and I think I live up to that pretty well. And the reason I do that, or I think I have this title, is because of how well my counterparts at Fudan treated me. They treated me very nicely with Caroline first when I approached her on WeChat when I was still quarantining in the hotels, to all the peers and teachers who I then got to know when I stepped foot in Fudan. It's because of these people that made me feel like I have to do the same for our counterparts coming to our school for exchange. And that's why I say I'm grateful. And together to combine all all of these traits, me being courageous, persistent, and grateful because of all these stories I just told you, it helps me I think I am qualified to be a change maker in Hong Kong, mainland China relationships. And that is why these are things that are uniquely me, that qualify me as a GPA scholarship recipient. And I hope some of the things I said just now you can take away, but I guess we'll chat in groups later. So until then, thank you.